All right, welcome to class 5, part 2. And we are going to be continuing to experiment with glazing. Um, this time I'm going to be glazing not over black and white, but over color. So thought that would be interesting for a lot of you to see. And I'm just going to go ahead and find there we go, remove that spotlight. Go to, should have done this before we started the video, but that's how I teach, I guess. Okay, so everybody sees the easel now with all 8,700 colors that I laid out?
Yep.
Okay, great. Let's need one more second. I apologize, you guys. And how's the sound? I've got it connected to my beard again.
It's good.
Feels so
It's
funny.
perfect.
Feels like there's constantly some little kid tugging on my beard, like, I want to ask you a question, mister. All right, let's go ahead and jump up.
Michael, is there an undercolor on this? Did you stain the canvas before you started painting?
Yeah, that is a great question. So far, this is an acrylic painting done with light colors. This is working with a clinic that deals with ADHD and dyslexic students. And so we wanted kind of neutral, less saturated colors, like not really dark darks, not really light lights, but they have come back and completely changed their mind. I invited the owners here to our house to see the work, and they decided that they would rather it just looks like my work, and went back to why they hired me, why they picked me, and they're happy with them. But the one that looked the most vibrant, which is this one, was the one they all decided they liked the most. And I was like, oh, that's much more how I would kind of paint typically. And so they decided that I am now free to go back and change these how I want. So I'm going to go and I'm going to be going back to the glow and not tonalism, but atmospheric color. We just had that discussion about tonalism versus colorful, but I also think of luminism.
When they said tonalism, that was before I signed up for your class, so I knew full well what I was.
Oh yeah. But here's what I want to say about that is that as much as I love tonalism, I also love a style called luminism, which is really
that is my favorite.
Glowy under, where the painting feels like literally like you're just like, how is this painting? How does it have a light behind it, right? That's coming out.
It is like heaven put into a painting. It is like a drop of heaven just in paint.
All right. I am going to ask you to write all my write-ups for my artwork in the future.
Done.
I love that.
Perfect. Done. I never shut up.
Just got to put it on print. So let's see if I can make this what I feel. I mean, it's got a little bit of it, right? A little bit of warmth, a little bit of light, but let's see if we can punch this up. Okay, so for those of you who are doing acrylic paintings from time to time and then painting oils over the top, I ended up doing a lot of research about what's the best way to kind of create that in-between layer so that the acrylics are stuck down and that the oils can sit on top. And I discovered a term I had never heard or had heard and have completely forgotten called couching, which seems so weird, but COUCH, couch. And it is basically what I did from the research was I mix a little bit of medium. Actually, it's about 50% paint medium. In this case, I'm using Naomi Gilp. I would have preferred to use a Galkid because it would dry it a lot faster. This is still a touch sticky, but it's 50% paint medium, 50% Gamsol or paint thinner. And what I do is I go and I did this yesterday at about the same time, so about 24 hours ago, and I went and put a very thin coat of it on there. And I let that sit for about 5 minutes. And then I went back and I wiped it completely off, or as off as I could. So it's just barely on there. But the funny thing is, it's still a touch sticky. So I think a faster drying medium would have helped. I just unfortunately didn't have any, and I have a whole bunch of this Neo McGill left over. So, which is a great medium, but it's a slower drying one. So hopefully I don't run into problems with that. But that's from my research yesterday, the one that will create the best bond of the oils over the acrylics. The other thing I really want you to know, for those of you who want to experiment, just like I did with the black and whites, those were acrylic underpaintings, over with the color on top, is make sure you're letting that black and white underpainting sit for at least 24 hours. 48 hours seems to be preferred in most of the research I did. And again, acrylics dry quickly, but they don't cure quickly, meaning that there's some of the solvents and some different things that are kind of coming to the surface a little bit. And a lot of people even suggested taking like a really clean water, like I don't know, out of a bottle, and wiping it down to get some of the different detergents, is what they call it. So these are not all things I've done. I haven't had any issue with just even painting oils directly on top of acrylics, but because these are for a client, and I just thought it would be nice to learn, and so that I can be a better teacher. Any questions on that? I know Linda Morgan O'Connor, you were asking about that a while ago.
I just wonder if open acrylics, if that's is longer.
I have to imagine it's quite a bit longer. Excuse me, longer.
Mm.
And sometimes with open acrylics, depending on how much medium and the brand of mediums that you use and whatever, it's almost like it never fully cures, and you can accidentally, gosh, I've caught whatever's in I've caught your cough.
Luckily, I just made ginger water, so I got that.
But yeah, it can be like tacky forever. So I think that the best way to figure that out with open acrylics is just practice and waste a lot of paint. It's not wasting because you're learning, but
yeah, maybe don't do a big one like this. Maybe do a number of little ones like the other ones.
They do. There is a medium as well that is like a fast something medium, and you basically just paint it on top and it will set hard. So it's almost like, it's not actually latex or whatever, but it's kind of a similar idea where you can paint it on top and it just will have this protective layer that you can paint on top of. And it's used for glazing, actually, with open acrylics.
Yeah, and I've done some research, and Australia is actually kind of leading the way in these different drying times with acrylics. There's a company that does a lot of that and experiments with that. So I can't remember the name. Well, actually, I can just look it up. It's right here beside me.
It's actually right here beside me in real life. Atelier.
Yeah.
Atelier.
Exactly. So if you want to learn about that, but my thing with that is, if you're using slow drying acrylics, I don't know why you would need oils.
Yeah. No.
The thing about acrylics is they have about 1/3 the amount of pigment in their paints as oils. Oils have a lot of pigment in them, a lot more. There's a lot more binder, or the acrylic medium, in acrylics. That's why they're more transparent and a little more wishy-washy, which you can see in here. I mean, you can see that this is definitely more transparent than my oil paints. So yeah, I mean, if you're going acrylics over acrylics, like let's say you're glazing with acrylics over an acrylic painting, I don't think it needs to dry nearly the same amount.
But it helps to put your final medium over it if you're gonna like, I'll often paint a medium over the acrylic and then it dries. And then you have,
Yes.
yeah, and that really helps. I mean, Wayne Zhang, who's only an acrylic painter,
Oh,
he
I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, incredible acrylic painter.
Yeah, for real. I always
He
thought they were oils.
No, and that's how he makes them look like oils, is he does some glazing and he does a lot with medium, but he says cover it with medium first.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and that's
And
what I
let it
was gonna
dry.
do yesterday. I literally
yeah,
had
let it
out
dry.
I had my acrylic mediums out. That's what I was gonna cover it to create a separation layer.
Hmm.
And for painting oils over the top, it was suggested that that can work, but not as well as creating a oil barrier between them.
Hmm.
So again, I don't always suggest going from acrylics to oils. It's just something that I do sometimes. Acrylics over acrylics over acrylics, because that's what's so nice about acrylics is you can just layer and layer and layer so quickly. Like even today, after I finish glazing this, I'll probably have to wait a couple days until I can come back and make the transitions that I think I might need to make, right? So anyways, acrylics are fantastic. I have absolute, I used to really not like them, and now I really, really like them, and I find a lot of use in them. But when the clients came over, they said, well, we hired you because you're an oil painter partly. So I'm like, oh, well, that's not a problem because I can do this. So what I'm going to do is use the pigment strength in the oils to punch this up. So I want you to kind of take a mental note of this and see how kind of transparent and wishy-washy and their initial concept of creating these paintings and making them soft. We're going to go ahead and adjust that now. And we're going to go for high chroma. We're going to go for dynamicism. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
And are you painting oil over these acrylics?
Yeah, these are going to be oil over acrylic, again with that couching, which is a half and half medium paint thinner that I scrubbed on or wiped on, let it sit, wiped it back off, let it dry for 24 hours. It's still a little tacky. So if it was not a class situation, I would probably wait for this to dry a little more or put a fan on it a little longer. But I think as long as I'm using the same medium that I used to couch with, sounds so weird, used to create that barrier, I think I should be fine. Famous last words, right?
Mhm.
Hopefully the clients never see this video. So I'm going to turn this into even a more dynamic sunrise. I'm going to make my darks darker. I'm going to make my blues bluer, my purples purpler. I'm going to definitely make my sky stronger color. And we're going to just come through and see if we can't turn this. I don't even know what you'd call this, just kind of a calm, neutral painting of the Columbia River Gorge here in between. This is Washington on this side, Oregon on this side. And let's see if we just can't make it a bit more dynamic. So I'm going to be using something called spot glazing. So remember in the last ones where I just kind of covered the whole scene with a single color? Instead of that, I'm just going to put lipstick on everything. And just come through and add a bit of dynamic, strong color. Isn't that wild? How that vibrant, strong color just completely obliterates. Like it just makes this go so pale. Yeah, I can feel all of you guys just again when I always do this, every time I do this. Who's scared? Who hasn't seen me do this before?
Seen you do it before, but it still scares me.
I have not.
Do you feel like I've gone crazy? Or do
I
you feel like
assume,
this?
I assume you haven't.
The one
And
that
isn't it called cooching instead of couching, like if you're in Oregon?
Cooch Street. Yeah, that's right.
The one that's scary to watch glaze is that Stuart Davies.
Oh yeah, I need to see that.
He's
Linda Camerata always tells me I need to watch him. I always forget.
he's frightening. He'll take a very nice painting and literally paint over the entire thing with Indian yellow. Just
Ah,
and then wipe away in spots or to varying degrees.
so what I'm doing is creating my transition color. So I know that I'm going to have blues and purples. I'm going to put some blues and purples into the sky. And I'm also going to have Indian yellow and warm yellows in here. So my transition color between blue, or let's just say purple, and yellow is my red. So by creating this kind of, I don't want to say barrier by any means, but a transition color, I will hopefully be avoiding mud, because if I have all three colors, red, yellow, blue, it creates brown or grays. And in this instance, I'm going to be trying to create glow. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this back a little bit. So I'm almost using those as kind of my guide lines. Ooh, that's already pretty. He says self-congratulatory.
Was that quinacridone red?
Yeah, that's quinacridone red, which I find to be, again, I have all these other beautiful quinacridones, the magenta and the violet, but they both have blue in them. So it's going to be a harder transition between that, right?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
bright, hot yellow.
Yeah.
So I'm using just a little bit of medium, just a touch, just a touch. I do not want it drippy. You see how that in those transitions, how it doesn't become brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is the hardest thing when I show people spot glazing, where I'm able to use all 87 colors. I don't know, actually I should count them. 10, 15 colors here. It's going to be easy for me to make brown, but I don't want brown.
That yellow's Indian yellow?
That was Indian yellow. Yeah.
Okay, boy, what a nice,
Super hot, super warm.
yeah.
And I might even bring, let's take a touch of that and let's cool it down with a bit of my coolest yellow. And let's see what happens if I bring that up here. Whew, need more of the cool yellow. So between the medium, the fact that my colors are transparent, right? I've looked on the backs of the tubes, or I've done tests with them on the side. I know that they're somewhat transparent. That is so yellow. I hate it. I hate it so much. So I'm going to take my paper towel. I'm going to dip that in my medium just a little bit, and I'm going to try to remove some of that. What's the other thing I can do to subdue this yellow for you guys who are getting better at your color mixing? Sorry, I cut you off. What was that?
Put a little purple in it.
Let's add a little purple. It's going to go to brown because purple
Yuck.
has red and blue.
Oh dear.
See?
Ouch.
And if anybody didn't figure out what the joke was about cooching it versus couching it, we have a street in downtown Portland called Cooch Street, which is just literally spelled Couch Street. But everybody knows to call it Cooch. Ooh, got to clean that.
Which makes no sense at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I bet you 50% of Oregonians still call it Couch Street.
Yeah.
We have a little town here called Milan, and it's spelt like Milan. So same thing.
Well, my town I live in is called Aloha, but it's spelled Aloha. And I don't know why we wouldn't want to be called Aloha. That sounds way nicer. So what I'm going to do now to cool this down a little bit, because I know this band is going to be clouds. Right? Sorry, I should have probably told you that, but I'm going to just take a little bit of a cooler red instead of a purple. And I'm just kind of thinking how these clouds might be dissipating towards the tops a little bit. Your next question is, do you have references? And the answer is yes, I do. But there are a lot of them, and none of them are going to do the thing I want them to do. But they're all giving me ideas of colors and movement and different aspects of this. You see how that just kind of cooled it down?
Yeah.
I'm also wiping it a little bit away, so I'm revealing some of that cool blue gray that's underneath. And that's what I like about this glazing technique, is I'm able to use it. I'm just now making it just even more transparent, right? I'm taking that color. And I have a little while with oil paints. With acrylics, this is a lot faster and quicker. Let's get to these clouds. Let's even warm that up a little more. Let's go to here. And I'll create like a band of color. So I've got kind of a hot orangey, looks a bit dirty, but that's because it's on a gray palette. I'm going to bring that down. Go back to my quinacridone. I could bring that over here. And I want to add some warmth to that, some more yellow, so that it transitions towards those Indian yellows.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to see that transition of colors, but hopefully what you're seeing is a little bit of a transition of warmth. So on the bottoms of these clouds, I'm kind of seeing them as being a little warmer. I'm going to actually add just a touch of white, which I don't often do with my glazing right off, but I know I don't want them that hot. Now that transition is much easier to see, right?
Mm.
Take some more Indian yellow, warm it up towards the bottom. Gonna have to bend it. I'm running out of space. And let's see what happens here. Oh, that's so much nicer. Still probably even add more white to that. Touch more yellow. Does that make sense, that thought process? If my light's kind of coming up from behind these mountains, there's going to be a band of clouds here. They're going to be a little darker, that I want them to kind of be illuminated from underneath and behind. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know and I can try to figure out a way to explain it a little better. But Michael, that looks stupid and crazy. I know. I surely do know. Very aware. Kind of nice though. So I'm just kind of feeling it out. I'm just testing what colors, what bands. I've got a nice brush with warm colors that are from here and this weird little character with his nose and his weird mouth, tall hair. Looks like a weird Muppet. But I'm going to save this brush. I'm going to pull it aside and maybe not have to use as many brushes if I'm smart. And now I'm going to take a new brush. I'm going to mix some cools. So I'm going to go to my purples. Same thing. I'm going to add a little white because that purple is so crazy.
Is that the manganese purple?
Yeah, that's the new one, manganese violet. I always suggest you use a brand new color when you're demoing or painting on a client's painting. Normally I would be doing tests. Trying to figure out what blue would fit to that. I think ultramarine to make it cooler. Kind of like that. And then to make this warmer, oh boy. Now, okay, so I got my cools. So now I'm going to grab a third brush. And I'm going to go to a warmer side of this, which is my quinacridone red. And again, I'm using my quinacridone mostly because it's the red I get. It's the red I understand. And I like that right there. See that gorgeous transition?
Yeah.
So let's see what happens if I bring that over the tops of these warm bands onto the top edges of where that transition is going to happen. I should have just done the darks, the cool darks first, but let's see what happens. Let's fill that in with my purple. And let's go to the blues. Add a bit of purple. Probably too strong, probably too dark. Probably too blue. But let's see. Let's see if I can get away with a little bit of it. It's a lot. That's really blue. But again, I think of it like cooking, you know, just like what happens if I add this much salt? Oh, that's too salty. Okay, I got to do a little more of this. Okay. Very blue. I do not like that. It's electric, right? It just feels so strong right there. So blue, I can add a touch of yellow to neutralize that, which will make it greenish. And then a touch of my red to neutralize that green. There we go. See how that grade right down?
Mm.
I do like having some blue in the sky. I think it unifies the painting.
Wrong. Just kidding. Yeah, I'll leave it blue-ish. And I can always come back. I can always.
Yeah, you like the ish colors, so.
I do. I'm very much an ish painter. So let's just see what happens. Wow, it's so blue. It's a dynamic sky all of a sudden, though. I take by your laughter, maybe a little too dynamic.
Now you've just got a New Mexico sky over, or your
Columbia
Pacific
River
course.
Gorge, yeah.
Yeah. It happens, I'm sure.
It definitely can happen. Oh yeah, no, they can be really dynamic out there. I mean, this is high desert just beyond this turn over here, so, or at least getting towards it.
I think that looks stunning.
It's dynamic. Yeah, I'm beginning to think, okay, what would I do if I wasn't teaching right now? How would I change and adjust it? And I don't mind it because I'm going to come back in and continue to adjust it. But you see how I'm using that transparency of that paint still, even though they're strong colors, they're rich colors. I'm going to grab a softer paper towel. I've been using just the cheapest of cheap Costco kitchen towels. Now I'll go back to my shop towels, which will allow me to soften things up. And let's just see what happens if I go in reverse from the warms back up towards my cools versus my cools down to my warms. And what I'm hoping is this paper towel is going to continue to pick up color. So now those colors will begin to mix and neutralize some of those cool blues, but I'm going to retain some of that transparency. Some of the airiness of these clouds up here. But it is just this band of cools that have really wanting to dominate. So I don't mind them being cool. I just don't want a strong stripe.
Mm.
And that's what I like about this style of painting is I have a little bit of time, especially with oils versus acrylics, to continue to manipulate. And adjust and move. And it's almost like carving. And depending on the amount of pressure I push with my paper towel or my brush, I can pick up. I can even use the paper towel a little bit to bring down colors. Does it feel too banded? Having a line of hills, a line of bright sky, a line of red, a line of blue, and then up, like, should I obliterate some of the top sky maybe?
Yeah,
So that it's not just stripe, 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 stripe.
yeah, looks a little stripy.
Very often the sky does mirror the hills, doesn't it?
A
You know, the
little
cloud
bit, yeah.
formations.
Let's maybe even a counter line. Let's maybe bring this cloud back this way a little bit. And that way we'll get a little bit of a movement of a line.
Leave the sky, work on the hills.
Yeah, and that's probably what I should do, but I don't have that long of a working time. Probably, or at least I should get some of these bigger ideas.
These are acrylics, right?
No, these are oils that I'm
Oh,
painting
these are
now.
oil. Okay.
You see what I'm kind of trying to do is create a sense of movement
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not just stripes. And I can come back in and add opacity, add, more paint. So I'm kind of using these glowy, transparent, illuminated colors almost to figure out my plan and my idea.
Is that a panel or a canvas?
Yeah, it's a wood panel. So I've got a lot of time to change and fix. Let's go ahead and take my finger here with a paper towel, and I'm going to remove some of that bright, strong yellow. So we have even further striations, but they're related, hopefully. Isn't that crazy?
Looks nice.
That moved it
So
back.
many of these things I'm showing you and that I'm playing with are because I've experimented and I've ruined so many paintings, and I've just, I'm constantly playing. Just, again, what's the saying? What if, right?
That moved the sky way back.
So I have a question. If
Please.
tomorrow morning when you get up and look at this, and if you think, oh, well, I'm not sure that's where I wanted to go with that, what would you do then?
Paint over it.
Oh, you mean
But-
just paint over what you've got now?
Yeah, because I can always go opaque. That's the great thing.
Okay.
And then I can preserve little elements of this glow that I want, right? But I can paint over, like, the part I'm not liking is these colors. But who knows, maybe tomorrow I will, or maybe it's this, this orange is too orange, this transition's too strong, and maybe I just need to make that subtle. So yeah, I'm constantly just kind of feeling my way through it. Sometimes I'm jealous of the painters that just know exactly where they're going to do what. But other times I'm like, this is the most fun part for me, is the discovery. See how that just started to glow, and all of a sudden it fed into here. So I'll take a dry part of my paper towel, touch it with that where the paint thinner just did, and just soften that. Ooh.
I like that a lot.
Gorgeous.
There I am pushing hard against the board.
What if
Better
you
than
just rub
chalk on
that
the
purple back a little? Maybe that's all it needs. I like the transition between the orange and the purple better now that you've rubbed it back.
right. Yeah, the part I still don't like is up here.
Yeah.
So
But
let's
the lower
just,
part is nicer. It's nice.
what's that?
The lower part where the orange and the purple come together, that's nice. No,
Right.
yep, right there.
So I can either leave this and know that I'll have to come back in and fix it, or I can literally just be, and this probably is a big mistake. But let's just take paint thinner to it. I've got time. So I added a little paint thinner on the paper towel. And now I'm just going to grab a clean paper towel. And I'm just going to use that to paint. And just see what happens.
I actually like that a lot better.
Me
Yeah,
too.
looks very nice.
Now it doesn't feel heavy-handed and stupid. Just feels stupid. No, I'm just kidding. I like that so much more.
Yep.
So if that's the case, and I've got these cools up here, now I'm liking these colors. Let's get rid of some more of that yellow. And that, again, this is what I like about this style is I've got some time, and I can also just keep layering it because all this paint on there is very thin. So I like this cool color now. So now I'm going to say, okay, can I bring some of that down into here? Just hints of it so that it's not just yellow, red, purple, whatever that color is, right? All right. That feels so much better to me.
A lot better.
Not perfect. Rarely is. Never is. Now let's get down to our water a little bit. Because I have the colors in the sky. So that's why I'm jumping there versus the mountains.
The other thing is your mountains popped without adding any color to them.
Because I took away the dark up here.
And you've got a complement right next to them. Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of bands of warmth. Very, very warm. It's like putting lipstick on again.
So if you were going to go over an older dried oil painting, would you put a medium on it first or just go right on to it?
I typically have not. Sometimes I will, called oiling out, which is the same as couching or cooching. And it's suggested that you kind of do. So oiling out is where you would just put a very thin coat of oil or oil plus a little bit of paint thinner, wipe it on, wipe it off. And it basically creates another layer of binding. Like it's basically like adding glue, right? When you're adding a medium or something for it to attach to that it's going to be related to. So that's why I'm going to use the same medium that I did in between. So I don't always, a lot of times I'll just go in and start scrubbing in, transparent color. But yeah, this is already starting to feel a lot more energetic, a lot more interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more colorful,
Mhm.
right? And remember how grayed these purples felt? I haven't touched them.
Mhm.
But by adding the yellow next to them,
Mhm.
it makes them much more purple.
Oh,
Makes them pop, yeah. So I'm just going to soften this transition here just a little bit, and then we'll move along, he keeps saying. Ooh, I'm starting to like it. Okay, let's come down into our water a little bit. I'm going to take a purple blue. I'm going to darken this foreground color so that hopefully what it does is it starts to feel like this is coming closer and receding back towards here. So let's just see what happens. You said a little bit, that's a lot.
what color is that, Michael?
That is the ultramarine plus just a touch of the purple, the quinacridone, or no, manganese violet. Might be a little too cold to make it roll forward, but I'm thinking the darkness is nice. Like, oh, it can also bring that some into the reflected shadows here. Maybe a little bit over here.
It makes your point of interest pop.
Right, yeah, that's a good way of thinking of it, is I'm trying to bring you into here
Mhm.
and then let you explore. Okay, so I actually like these colors, how they ended up back here. So I'm wondering what I should do to bring these hills forward and feel a little less transparent. I feel like the paint was a little weak, like I didn't cover it as well. So maybe I'll go towards a kind of a greenish blue, maybe just a touch of the purple to neutralize that green. And let's just see what happens as we, okay, so that's really quite dark. Nice color. But really quite dark. I think that almost could be served up front. So let's take that, make it a little bluer, a little redder, so that the warmth in that dark color comes forward. Warmer darks, hard to see, but your brain will kind of accept it. So let's just see if I can bring this shape, which is the closest ground form, with that forward. Is that starting to come towards us because it's of the dark?
A little bit, yeah.
And it's a little bit warm. You kind of probably can't see it. It probably just looks like almost black. But there's a little more red hiding in that color.
That helped.
Yeah.
So that wants to come forward. Now I can go back to that other color I had, which was blue. Let's touch of purple. And you'll see I'm starting to get comfortable with a couple colors, so I'm not dipping into all of them. I'm going to add a touch of white, at least on the test, to see where I'm at there with that. Because otherwise it just looks dark, right? Let's add a little more white to that so you guys can actually see what the difference is. So it's a nice gray blue. Let's go back to the dark. I'm going to add that little bit of white in there because I want it to fall back compared to this foreground dark. So let's see. Not dark enough. I added too much white to it. There we go. You think that's too blue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Add a little more red to that. Or a little more purple. Let's see.
I think that's still too dark.
I believe you're right.
You just wipe it off, wipe it back. It might just go exactly where you want it if you just wipe it back.
We'll never know. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm going to use it. Let's see. Let's see if I can use it to create some sense of texture, even though this is all in the shadow. And I want to keep it fairly simple. Let's see what happens if I can find a clean part of my paper towel. And let's just do what you said there, just wiping it back slightly. Grab another piece of the paper towel and do it again. And then I can also use my fingers, hopefully, to create a sense of light. It's not going to be the warm yellow light. It's the light that's coming down off the top of the sky. That's feels pretty dark still, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's still dark, too dark.
Yeah, it's really grabbing a lot of attention. So let's take one more time. And let's bring that dark over to here, which is truthfully just a touch further away, but more in the shadow than this side is because the light's coming from here.
Yeah, that one doesn't bother me so much as the big one.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
As long as we're picking on it, the shape on the right bothers me.
Yeah, that's a tough part about painting a real place.
Well, it's too dark. I think
So let's see. Let's go ahead and go towards the white. And instead of lightening this, I'm going to do the reverse.
It's the most sensitive.
And again, the reverse. So I'm looking to values as well as temperature to create possibly a slightly higher sense of contrast and push. Ooh, I'm a little scared here. I'm going to add purple as I go back because I'm get towards those warmer. This is going to be a little weird. Let's see. Not even light enough. That feels like on the palette, like it's so light, but it's. And one more. All right, I'm going to clean that brush off. I'm just going to see what happens here. Let's start adding some white to that. Your silence is terrifying. You're like, why do we even bother talking? He's not listening to us at all.
Mesmerized, that's what it is.
Yes, yes. Mesmerized rhymes with terrified, I guess.
No, it's all coming together beautifully.
Yeah, it looks nice.
I'm infatuated with this weird purple that I've got, so I'm going to way overuse it. Thought that color would be so much warmer, but it's, I don't know if it's from the dirty brush, but it's coming off pretty cool. All right, I am going to clean this brush, or maybe just grab a new brush because I'm that lazy. All right, well, now we got a filbert, which is going to create transitions a little easier by the soft bent edges. Not always the case, but just soften some of these lines, these transitions, and bring them towards us. So this is blending on the canvas. I'm using this clean brush. Literally, I've added no paint to it. So I'm using the paint that's there, but I'm also, because I'm scumbling, taking this paint that's, not huge amounts and blending it. I'm also pulling it away so that some of those undercolors, those soft purples and warms that were there before, hopefully I can start to use them. Some might say abuse them, but using them to create kind of an atmospheric transition. This line right here is a little strong, so I'm just going to do the same thing again, just wipe it. Do you see the subtle transition, hopefully? Please let me know if it's not really working, but also be patient a little bit for it to actually work.
That's a beautiful color back there, I think.
Yeah.
So this is scumbling, where I'm taking those lighter colors, bringing them over some of the darker colors.
This is really working.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
So when Gail said earlier that these were too dark, she was 1000% right. We all agreed.
Yeah.
But they were too bright because other things were too light.
Yeah.
So that's where I can freak out in my paintings. Like, holy crap, what have I done? This is way too dark. This is way too dark. This is way too dark. But then I have to go, wait, be patient. What if you darken this? Because again, remember why I'm revisiting this painting is to create more dynamicism, right? Stronger darks, stronger lights, stronger chroma, stronger warms, stronger cools. So I have to trust myself. And you guys know when your painting is kind of good, it is terrifying, right?
Yep.
It wasn't great by any stretch. We all agreed. Nobody said, Mike, you shouldn't touch that. It's amazing. I want to buy it. But probably all said, well, yeah, that kind of looks like the Columbia River Gorge. I see it. Oops, I got to go shut a blind a little bit more. It's crazy having this much sun in February in Oregon. Gives me a chance to kind of step back and look. Have a drink of lemon water. And start to just say, okay, is this feeling like the Columbia River Gorge, or how I want it to feel, or
That's my kind of gorge.
yeah, it can be. I mean, the fog can just sit in there so gorgeous sometimes. Hard to not use the word gorgeous when you're talking about the Columbia River Gorge, I guess.
That's just lovely.
And that bit of depth you put in the water at the bottom left corner has created this lovely sort of whoosh of pale water going right back. It made a big difference.
Thank you. Yeah. And now what I'm thinking of in these rocks is like, how are these striations? You know, how might the fog, the clouds be sitting on top? They maybe are sitting a little bit on top and cooling them down. I don't know if that was a good idea. They might be sitting in between these little canyons that are back here. They may be sitting on the ground next to the water, right? Yeah. Same with here, let's say. And I got to remember too, that the light's not hitting all of it equally, right? It's got to get around these. So maybe it's catching on the top here a little bit, but it's still not direct light, but it's a little more direct than it goes into the fog.
And is the light hitting that mass on the right at all?
The right, yeah. And I can bring some of that in here in just a touch. Yeah, great observation. And it's not in my reference, but one of my favorite things is when it is.
Now it's a matter of what feels good, I guess.
Right, yeah. So let's just test. Boom. Boom. Let's bring in some warmer, but still purple, you know, not hot. Probably. Maybe I could warm it up a touch more than that. Let's see how much. It's always right. How much can this painting bear? That's what Scott Christensen used to say when I took a workshop from him is, what can it bear? How much can it hold? Right? Can it get away with that? Because that's related to this? Probably. But what if I put on, you know, bright red? Probably wouldn't, right? That's nope. Can't handle that.
Nope.
Doesn't it have a little variation in the topography, the top line of it? Isn't it trees or something?
Right, yeah. These are trees and these are
But
rocks,
down below, the
trees,
point that sticks out is such a bird's beak almost. And I know it had, you know, it has some kind of up and down a little bit more, I think.
I hate you locals. Oh, you're not even a local.
I'm not a local, but I've been there.
Okay.
I've never been there, but I'm confident I'd recognize it if I ever get there, based on your paintings.
I think somebody came and moved those boulders actually, and it just became smooth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Forget your thousands of years of erosion, and somebody just put it into a tumbler. Yeah, and so this
That feels better.
I don't like that. I think it's too much.
Too much sticking out here.
No, the down the side of the mountain or the
Path needs
hill.
to be adjusted a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of thousands of years of erosion, school.
What did
there's
you
a
call
new-
me?
Well, I was talking all about how I'm small because I'm 8,000 years old.
Oh, that's
But
right. Yeah.
yeah, and school started, like a new school year started this week. So I have a whole new bunch of kids that have just come in, and I have a couple of them that I've been teaching for a few years, and they just turned to the new kids and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, she's 8,000 years old." And then they looked at me and I was like, "Yeah, it's true. Take it up with them." But I told them it's my birthday in 2 weeks, and they were like, "Oh, how old are you really turning?" And I'm like, 8,001, 8,001, obviously.
Yeah. I believe
yeah.
that one's diamonds, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Come on, kids, step up.
So they're like begging me to teach on my birthday because I'll be teaching. Well, I would be teaching. And now I'm thinking, because they give me like, they draw something for me every single class. And I've got this wall where my desk is in the studio, and it's just covered in like the most ridiculous drawings. Somebody drew me as an 80-year-old. So now I'm thinking they're all going to do something. They're begging me. I bet they're gonna like make a portrait of me as a fossil. I'm very excited. So I'll post pictures.
No, that's good.
Can I be a bit cheeky?
Of
And
course.
you know the mist on the left side, just behind the dark promontory. It's a little bit stripy. It's a little, just where your
Here?
finger is there. Yeah, yes, that mist there is just a bit stripy. Looks a bit
Okay.
caterpillary.
I got it. Yeah. No, good catch. I'm just curious if I can sneak any green.
Mm.
Might be a bit much because it's pretty much all in shadows, strong shadows. And I can really just keep playing forever, right? I could just keep adding soft transitions. Let's see what happens if I put a little of that green into some of these shadow darks because they're coming forward. So we're seeing a little bit more detail. And let's get rid of that stripiness.
That's gorgeous.
Very nice. Yeah.
I like the green you added.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think that
I
little bit
agree.
really, yeah.
Yeah. It's subtle, but it's just enough.
Let's go back. One more thing here before I step away from it, but I'm just even gonna, which one do I want? Here, quinacridone. So many colors, I don't even know which one's which, especially since they're not laid out how I would normally lay them out. But let's get a little crazy. Let me find, I believe I have nope, I don't even have a reference for anything I'm thinking about here. But let's.
If you had a Bob Ross style show, his was the joy of painting or whatever. Yours would be, let's get a little crazy.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the agony, but yeah.
I was thinking agony too.
Let's get a little crazy.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
Bob
really-
always said before he put a great big tree in.
Let's get a little crazy. Yeah, we don't know what Bob was doing off screen at all, so he might have been getting a little crazy in between his big crazy choices.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it looks so nice.
I want to be there. It looks beautiful.
Can when you come visit. It's not far. It's about 35, 40 minutes from my house, depending on
Oh, how
traffic.
lovely. Gosh.
Oregon's amazing that we have this thing that looks like it belongs in Norway. And the crazy thing is how it was actually made was almost instantaneous. It looks like thousands of years of erosion, but what actually happened was there was the state of Montana was almost a gigantic, gigantic lake, and it was held in by glaciers. And I'm hoping I'm telling this close to scientifically correct. But when that melted or broke, millions and millions and millions, I think it was 80 feet tall waves of water just came crashing down through Oregon and Washington. So a lot of this was made really quickly. And I think that's part of the reason it's not as, it could be more dynamic. Like some of these edges could be tighter and sharper. Again, remember I was designing this with my initial instructions for ADHD and dyslexia, where they wanted soft edges, low values, you know, not extreme values. So as opposed to repainting all of it, I'm trying to kind of fix it and adjust it. We can even get a little hotter right here, huh? Or do you like it that subtle?
Like it that way. Boy.
What if? What if?
I go for a little hotter.
Mountains back here look like. Turns out Linda was right. Just kidding. Let's meet in the middle. Let's both be right. I said, let's both be right. Come on. Sorry, Linda was right. There we go. There we go. Phew, that was scary.
That's beautiful.
All right, gang. Well, I will definitely be needing to come back and work. I wish we had a picture from before, which I do on my phone. So I will try to do a before and after photo. So the next question, you guys want to see one more, or do you now want to go look at your guys' work? Or I can just work on it tomorrow and stuff too during our Thursday meetup. You guys are bored. I am bored. Let's go look at your work.
Not bored at all. Mesmerized. Yeah. You must be exhausted.
That was fun. I really think I like where it's going. And I love the fact that wiping this away really feels much, much better. Not that it's finished or anything, but I just know that I don't have to be heavy-handed up here.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to have a patch of neutral, right? Your eye gets to rest a little bit because.
No, absolutely. And it's, you know, again, it's controlling you. All my paintings are always manipulating you guys, the viewer. I mean, you guys are too smart to be manipulated. But
that bit of pink you put in at the very back is now sort of resonating. In
a good
right in
way,
the far
resonating.
distance. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You were right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool.
We were both right, Linda.
Also, putting the weight on the bottom really helped as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did.
All right, let's keep screwing it up. You guys keep.
I feel like you guys could honestly have some kind of business where you're like, oh, I'm gonna watch you paint and Riley. What is this? Oh my goodness. Anyway, you get the idea.
No, we didn't, but whatever Riley did was funny.
I just
But-
think that this group, you guys give such good feedback and you're like so focused with watching, like you're not doing your own thing or whatever. And you could seriously charge artists to like be the peanut gallery commentary, sports commentators.
I prefer to have them pay me, but yes.
Only if we can be like MST3K and be like those little silhouetted robots in front of it. You know?
Yeah, eating popcorn.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater. What is it? 2000?
3,000. Yeah, 3,000. That was
That was a really
good
funny
times.
show.
Good times.
Speaking of, I heard the Muppets are going to have a first real episode tonight.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Real
CBS
episode.
What's that?
A real episode. Like what?
A real one, like, yeah, with the whole crew, with the real theater, with bringing it. I don't know if they're bringing it back on a normal basis or if it's a single episode or
How
what,
cool.
but I loved the Muppets when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I literally think of those two grumpy guys up in the
Oh yeah, in the
whenever
balcony.
you guys are saying things I don't agree with. So I added a little bit of pink to the tops of these clouds, just a little more punch. I kind of like it. Just to make them a little more dynamic. And I don't know, this feels pretty alive. I don't feel like I need to do much more. Like sometimes I would want to add like white, more opaque paint, but I think I'll sit and wait on some big, heavy decisions here.
Yeah, I'd step away for a while.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Come back
So
with fresh eyes.
let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and, maybe a couple of you who really want to talk about your work, share your work, or have questions, just think about it. And I think we can even raise hands, or we'll just kind of go through quickly. It's already the end of class, but I'm willing to spend another half hour or 40 minutes hanging out if you guys, because I feel guilty. You let me paint all day. So yeah, let's take a little break and just think on some questions you might have so I don't have to go through, or I don't get to go through everybody's work.
So I'm saying goodbye. I'm heading to Mexico and packing and going to a hotel tonight. So I gotta go. It's
fantastic.
Bye.
All right.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have fun, Diane.
Have an umbrella drink for all of us.
I definitely will. Adios.
Adios.
Adios.